Now let's keep it real. A lot of guys try to project confidence, but they actually act insecure. I mean, you can have the look, the money, and the fit, but if your behavior says otherwise, people can notice it a mile away. That's why in today's video, we're gonna break down 10 things us men do that can make us look insecure. So if you wanna look like a man who projects confidence, stick around as we check that behavior to make sure you're not coming off as unsure of yourself. Now, if you're new here, welcome, Jeff, your Style O.G. On this channel, we discuss various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. If any or all those topics interest you, I invite you to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Billy Simpson, salute. Now I'm going to kick off our list of 10 things us guys do that can come across as insecure with something that's a major thing. Trust me, if you're constantly seeking validation, you're definitely going to come off as unsure of yourself. When you need somebody else's cosign for every outfit, every move, and every decision, it says you don't trust your own judgment. And people pick up on that energy very quickly. They see right through it. You see, a confident man, he doesn't need applause to know he's moving in the right direction. He validates himself through his actions, decisions, and how he shows up. That's grown man energy. Or when you're always fishing for compliments or chasing approval, it comes off as thirsty, not solid. The energy you want to project is quiet, steady, and self-assured. That's real confidence. The key here is that you don't need to be seen. Your presence speaks for itself. So instead of always chasing approval, what you need to do is let your results do the talking. Now, next up on the list, we have something men have been doing for years and years, decades and decades, that definitely comes off as unsure of yourself. There's no need to brag about your money, your status, or women. This definitely doesn't come off as confident. It's a hallmark of insecurity. Real grown man confidence doesn't have to shout. When you're constantly bragging about your money, your achievements, or who you've been with, you're trying to prove something to people, including yourself. You see, a secure man doesn't need to broadcast every win. He lets his results, his presence, his energy, and his consistency speak for him. You see, bragging usually comes from a place of need. It's done by guys who have a certain lack, a void. And what it usually indicates, especially with the loudest guy in the room, he's usually the weakest and most unsure. The thing you need to keep in mind is real wealth, real power, and real manhood, it speaks quietly. Now, next up, I have something a lot of guys do that projects they're unsure of themselves. That's a huge problem for a lot of my nice guys out there. I need you to pay attention. Are you someone who moves too quickly in relationships? This is a sure sign of insecurity. If you're pushing to lock her down, oversharing too soon, or pressuring her into a commitment, especially before trust is built, this speaks of fear, not confidence. The problem is you're worried about losing her, especially to someone else, or maybe you have a fear of being alone or a fear of not being good enough. That's where a lot of this rushing into a relationship stems from. But real grown man energy, he realizes that strong relationships are built, not rushed. And he lets the relationship build on mutual respect and when both people are ready to move forward. When you push for a relationship too fast, you come off as needy. So take your time. If you're meant to be, it'll work out. Now, next up on the list of 10 things us guys do that can come off as insecure, I have a modern problem. You definitely might be dealing with some insecurity if you're overposting on social media. You see, when you constantly feel the need to show off every outfit, every place you've been, and every win you've claimed you've had, it seems to start you're doing a lot more performing than you're actually doing living. You see, grown man energy, it doesn't feel the need to document everything he needs for public approval just to see he's progressing in life. He doesn't need that to feel valuable. He's not chasing likes. He's chasing having a life. He doesn't need that outside validation. He's too busy building a life worth living. The more you try to prove by overposting on social media, you're really proving you're unsure about yourself. You see, real confidence is calm, it's quiet, and doesn't need to shout for approval. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't post on social media. Just post for a purpose, not for approval. Now, let's get into some real talk. I need to let you know, flexing on others, that's a sure sign of insecurity. Here's the thing. A confident man, he doesn't try to make other people feel like they're below him. He actually tries to help them up. When you use your accomplishments, your wins, your money to make other people feel small, it says a lot about how you feel about yourself, not your actual status. You see, a confident man doesn't need to make other people feel small to make him feel big. He offers his help to other people because he already knows who he is Insecure guys flex to be seen. A grown man helps to make a difference. Whether it's his knowledge, his wisdom, his money, his experience, he doesn't flash it, he shares it. Real, true, rewarding life isn't about what you show off, it's about what you build around you. True respect is gained through impact, not image. Now, next up, we have something very stereotypical we need to call out anyway. A guy who's overly aggressive or macho, he definitely is projecting his own insecurities. Being overly aggressive or macho is just insecurity in disguise. You see, the guy who's loud, boisterous, obnoxious, needs to puff out his chest or needs to be the alpha in every room, he's definitely unsure. You see, because real strength is calm, controlled, and measured. Confident man, he doesn't feel the need to intimidate. He wants to have influence. You don't need to be loud to be respected, and you don't need to act tough to be taken seriously. Strongest man in the room, he's usually the one that doesn't feel the need to say a word. Real confidence isn't in your bark, it's in your presence. So stay solid, not extra. Now, next up, we're gonna get into an absolute truth. If you're always getting defensive over everything, that's a true sign of insecurity. If you can't handle feedback, take an occasional joke, or always feel the need to explain and prove yourself, it shows you're not grounded. You see, a confident man, he's sure in who he is. He doesn't see every comment as an attack or any disagreement as disrespect. Confident man, he can listen, reflect, and respond with clarity. He can take it all in, see what he can learn, he digests what he needs, and spits out the bones. But the guy who snaps back every time he's challenged, he's giving up all his power. True confident man doesn't have to be right every time. He stays calm, controlled, and he listens actively. Thing is, if you're solid in who you are, you don't have to win every battle. Now, next up, I have something I want to make sure that is not a consistent habit of yours, because if it is, it definitely projects insecurity. Don't be the guy who refuses to apologize or never admits he's wrong. You see, the insecure man believes admitting that he's wrong makes him come off as weak. But the confident man, he knows that it projects accountability. When you can't own your mistakes, you're not protecting your pride, you're actually exposing your bruised ego. Confidence isn't about always being right. It's about being honest, accountable, responsible, and mature enough to clean up when you make a mess. People respect a man who can admit his faults and make it right. So if you want to build trust, lead, and grow in every aspect of your life, don't have a problem saying, that one's on me. Now, next up on the list of telltale signs of a man who might be insecure, we're going to get into one that's kind of obvious, but it still bears mentioning on today's video. Definitely the guy who has a problem with eye contact, he's probably unsure of himself. Trust me, when you avoid eye contact on a regular, it makes you look unsure, uncomfortable, and definitely insecure. A man can't look someone in the eye when he's walking through the room, speaking with them, or listening. It sends a message that he either lacks confidence or has something to hide. See, eye contact shows presence, confidence, and respect. It shows that you're focused, solid, and in control. So make sure you don't have the habit of avoiding eye contact. Now, don't go staring people down. You just want to have steady, focused eye contact that says, I belong here. Grown men, they don't shrink in the presence of others. They stand tall and connected. Now, next up, we have a habit that screams insecurity. You're probably going to project insecurity if you always have the need to be the center of attention. When a man has to constantly be the loudest in the room, always steering the conversation back to himself, he's definitely unsure. It shows he's not secure in his value or worth. You see, real confidence, it doesn't need the spotlight. It earns the spotlight through its presence, not through performance. The confident man, he doesn't beg to be noticed. He lets his actions, his presence, his energy, and consistency do the talking. So if you notice you feel the need to always be the center of attention, it may show that you're not grounded, you're not sure of yourself, and you're just performing. And trust me, people notice that. Take it from me, usually the most powerful man in the room, he isn't doing the most. He's comfortable in doing the least. Okay, so there you have it, 10 surefire actions that are projecting a man might be insecure. Now do me a favor, let me know in the comment section any things you believe the Style O.G family need to make sure they're not projecting that will give off insecurity. And if you enjoyed this video and found it informative, I highly recommend you check out a recent video I did about all the things I believe men should keep private. You can check it out right here.